Hello and welcome to the presentation on how to do a corporate valuation. Uh, Project was given to you based on this template. Okay, so you are supposed to bring the raw data from the Tadawul website. So I got this data from the Tadawul website, the statement of income, the cash flow, right, and the balance sheet. Now you have also the annual reports. This is also taken from the Tadawul website. Okay, just to cross verify that the figures are accurate, what we have got from Tadawul. Okay, so these are the annual reports, the actual financial statements of the Jarrir marketing company. So you can compare and see how it is. Okay, now if you see the three statement model, the three statements are the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow. So notice that I have used the template as what is given in the Tadawul website. So this will make our job easy. We don't have to do a lot of manipulations to the data. Okay. So I am keeping the same template for the statement of income as given in Tadawul. Similarly, the balance sheet template is maintained as it is, and the cash flow statement is also maintained as it is. So simply I've taken the figures and pasted it. Okay, and after that put the formulas. Okay, so this is the formula to get the gross profit, that is sales minus COGS, you get the gross profit. Then the total revenues is adding your gross profit and other revenues, right? Then you have expenses coming from the balance, the income statement of Jarrir, right? So we just take the total by using alt equal to, so we get the expenses. Then EBT is nothing but total revenues minus total expenses. Okay, zakat is as it is taken, so the net income is EBT minus your zakat. Okay, so this brings me the historical figures for the income statement. Similarly, we do the what we call it as the balance sheet. Notice that I have created cash and accounts receivable, which is not there in the original statement. So you have current assets here, but actually these are not current assets. If you see the Jarrir balance sheet, you will find that the total current assets are for 2016 1340293, whereas in the Tadawul it's shown as 457495. So therefore these are not current assets, but these are quick assets. So quick assets we can bifurcate into two for our purpose. We are doing it quick assets as cash and cash equivalents plus accounts receivable. So I break this current assets. In fact, this is not current assets. We have to make this as quick assets. Why? Because the inventory is given below. Okay, so current assets are together. So if you take the total of this brings me how much? No, sorry, they have given actually this was part of this. Okay, I have created it here, accounts receivable. So how to get this accounts receivable is simply we are taking quick assets minus your cash at end period. Okay, so you will get the accounts receivable, right? So if we take this 2, the total is how much? 1340293. So the current assets total, let's see how much it is. 1340293. So you have the same total as what we have it here. Okay, so that means this is not current assets, but it is quick assets. So to get the accounts receivable, what we have done, we have bifurcated the quick assets by subtracting the cash at the end from the cash flow statement to get the accounts receivable. So I think this is straightforward. So based on this, I have three kinds of current assets, that is cash, accounts receivable, and inventory. Okay, so we make this here. You can copy paste all this, and this is actually bringing from the cash flow statement. Okay, so it shows error, right? So as soon as we do the changes, they all have error. Okay, why the error is there? Because we are having accounts receivable, inventory. The quick assets is broken down into two, accounts receivable and cash. So the cash I'm going to get from the cash flow statement, that is the ending balance, that is the closing balance. Okay, so see, now the balance sheet gets tallied. Now if we copy this, it will tally. It's not tallying. Why? Because the formula is not including this. Okay, so we need to include this, so we can drag this formula so it gets tallied. Okay, so this becomes, your job will be easy. You don't require any supporting schedules to make the balance sheet, because we can just take as it is. Okay, now you have the historical income statement in place, balance sheet is in place, and cash flow also the same thing. I'm taking from the cash flow statement as it is, but breaking down into cash from operations, cash from investing, and cash from financing, to give a view of how the operating cash flow and the investing cash flow and financing cash flow have a role in the Jarrir company's financial performance. Okay, so this will help. But if you see the cash flow given by Tadawal, it's not that way broken down, but this template is very simple. You can just link those items, you will automatically get the subtotals of all this. The net increase and decrease in cash is nothing but adding cash from operations, cash from investing, and cash from financing. Already these are showing investing is cash is going out, so I am showing it as a negative cash flow, and cash from financing, we are having a negative cash flow here, because we are talking about financing the cash flow. Okay, so net increase decrease is this much. So opening cash balance and closing cash balance. Now to make whether we are doing perfectly right or not, you can take cash at end period as taken from the cash flow statement, raw data. Okay, I have taken this and put it here. Okay, so that you can compare that everything is perfect. So the historical income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement is done in a way which is based on the Tadawal summarized template, which is available on Tadawal website. Okay, the one which we got from the raw data. So our job has become easy now. If we are following the case study template, it was slightly difficult, so I try to simplify this so that you don't have any confusion pertaining to any companies you are doing, because the data which you will be getting for all kinds of companies will be 90% similar to this. Okay, maybe one or two things will be different. If you have any questions, you can ask me, no problem. So you see, I didn't do any working capital schedule. Without that, I could get the balance sheet tallied. Okay, now taking the assumptions. So assumptions, what we do, we have taken, I have given the explanation also how we are calculating this. Okay, simply this is the growth rate, since we don't have the previous year balance. But if you want, you can bring the previous year balance from the balance sheet which we have, the income statement which we have, and then get the things. But anyhow, no problem. You can take this 3. Okay. Similarly, the cost of goods sold and other expenses and all this are based on percentage of revenue. Okay, and the balance sheet assumptions are also here. Note that we have two kinds of depreciation, one in the income statement, another in the balance sheet. In the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is showing the accumulated one, whereas the depreciation which is given in the income statement is the current depreciation. Okay, so this is the difference between these two. Okay, in the cash flow statement, it is again the percentage of sales revenue, so it is 20%, whereas for the depreciation you can see it is 0.1% of the sales. So based on this historical analysis, we can develop our key drivers. Okay, so how to get the drivers? We are simply taking the averages for all this. Okay, so if you take the averages, you get this. In this case, I'm just taking 0.1%. Okay, so you can change if you want, right? If this is 11%, if you want to keep 12%, 12, then maybe 10, 9, 8, because as the company is growing, getting revenues will be very difficult unless and until they open more retail chains in new areas. Okay, otherwise the revenues will be stabilizing. Okay, but anyhow, if you see the previous trend, it is 13%, 6% and 14%. The average is 11%, so I'm assuming it 11%. It's up to you, right? You can do any kind of assumption, maybe based on key driver, or you can manipulate maybe more or less depending on the growth story of the company. Okay. Similarly, accounts receivable, we are calculating based on this formula, accounts receivable divided by annual revenue times number of days in the year. So I'm assuming number of days in a year is 365 days. So you have 18 days, 28 days, 22 days. So we are assuming that it is 23. Okay, so let me put this as 23 only. Okay, this is 62 and this is 76. Okay, the formulas are here. Already we discussed this extensively in the case study. Changes in investments, we are assuming that it is 0. Okay, for the movement we assume that it is 0. Similarly, change in other assets, we are assuming it as 0. Okay, change in other liabilities also you can assume it as zeros. So these are the things. Change in shareholder equity, these are in dollar values. So how we are going to do is based on current balance minus the previous balance, you get the difference. Okay, the change. Same way we do this. For the accumulated depreciation, it's done based on the percentage of revenue. Okay, so it was coming 31%, but this was abnormal in this year, so I don't take this into consideration while taking the average. If you can observe this here, so you can do those kind of changes. So if some particular year is non-normal, you can normalize this or you can skip this. So in my case, I have skipped this, and this is what we have as the average of accumulated depreciation. So this we are going to use while we are preparing the cash flow statement. So once the forecast key value drivers are in place, then we are ready to do the forecasting. So let's do the forecasting for the income statement. So is equal to the previous balance times 1 plus G. G is given in the assumption. This is the assumption. Okay, sales cost is a percentage of revenue. This times the assumption value. Okay, this formula you can copy. Okay, this also formula you can copy. Okay, now other revenues is equal to this times assumptions. You can take is equal to this times, no, sorry, is equal to revenue times assumptions. Okay, so you have this. Then taking the admin and marketing, this is also the same, revenue times the assumption, 2.8, revenue times, this has to be taken based on PP balance, but because we want to have a separate version, so we take this way. Okay, and then other expenses also, revenue times assumption. This is also a formula, we can copy this. And tax, did we take the tax here in assumptions? I think we didn't take tax, so let's take tax. Or since we know that it is 2.5%, we don't take, that's why I didn't take. Okay, so we just take 2.5% of the 2.5% of EBT. Okay, it comes near to the same value, right? So now we can simply copy. So we have our income statement in place. Then we can do the balance sheet similarly, is equal to, this has to come from the cash flow statement, so we can bring it later, or we can put the balancing figure. Okay, if we don't want to do cash flow statement, we can put a balancing figure of this too. Okay, anyhow, let's do the accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is equal to you have what is your accounts receivable days is equal to accounts receivable days is 23 times sales. Sales, and then you can divide this by 365, because we multiply, now we can divide. Okay, so it's similar to what we have right now. Inventory is equal to the assumptions, inventory days. Okay, inventory days times, we are going to take cost of sales or COGS, so times COGS, you find it in the income statement, that is 2020. Okay, enter. Oh, I think something wrong. Yeah, we didn't divide by 365. Divide by 365. Okay. This we are assuming it as 0. Okay. Or you can, okay, keep it 0. Fixed assets. What is the assumption of fixed asset? We said it is percentage of revenue, right? So we can take percentage of revenue is equal to income statement for 2020 times assumption of capex 15%. Okay. Other assets we are assuming it as 0. So we can copy the formula. Control R. Current liabilities, we can take it as accounts payable days. Okay, we are assuming that all current liabilities are accounts payable days. Actually this is incorrect, but since we don't have the details of current liabilities breakup, it's safe to assume that they are all accounts payable. So we take the accounts payable days. Okay. Accounts payable days times your cost of sales divided by 365. Okay. Non-current liabilities, that is debt. So what is the assumption we have put? Non-current, we are assuming that it's constant. Okay, so we can bring that as it is, or you can put it as a is equal to this plus non-current liabilities. Okay, so we can put it as a plug variable if we want, if this side is more. Okay, so since these are the formulas, we can copy the formulas. So shareholders equity, we can take shareholder equity or this as like say the plug variable will be now the total assets is more. Okay, so that means you need to finance them. You have made investments in your business, so the money is coming from where? Either by way of debt, new issue of debt, or by way of equity. So you can assume this or this as the balancing figure. So we can take the balancing figure. The plug variable is something like this, because this is more minus this one. Okay, so I require 617539. Okay, so that means I have to go for shareholder equity. We keep as it is. Okay, is equal to this plus this plus the assumption. The assumption is the change in shareholder equity is this much. Okay, or we assume that there is no changes. I think that is better than making this. So let's assume that we are not raising any equity nor debt. Okay, Okay, so let's see whether it happens now. Now what is the difference? We have 800. So that means we will show this as either investment in marketable securities or other assets. Okay, so better we put it as marketable securities. Okay, so it is how much? 800 796. So write 800 796. So now you see what happens. The balance sheet gets tallied. Okay, so this is how you are going to use a plug variable. uh, what we have done is we didn't take cash into consideration. We have put the cash item here. Okay, if you want to break this two together and make cash balance as this, you can do that also. Okay, or you can take the balance as the cash balance if you don't want to, because we are assuming that it is that. So you can take this, put as cash balance. Okay, and then you can show it in the cash flow statement that this is my ending cash balance. Okay, you have to show here that this is your closing cash balance. But you can skip this step because we don't have time. We just take this as the balancing figure, right? Okay, so let's copy this. So this has to be removed because that will be the balancing figure, right? So this one is more than this. So this will be 614, 614, or you can 614582. Okay, and then here we have 407, 407, 348. 407348. What happened? 407348. Okay. 176719. 6719. Okay. 79946. 79946. Okay. So this is how we do. What happened? Okay. This one is more. Okay. So this is a positive balance here. So what I need to do? I need to maybe repay the debt. Okay, so let's repay this. How much is the debt I have? Is equal to, if I repay, so the debt will be 725282. So this is how you are going to do the balancing. So this is 725282. Okay, no, still it is. No, we are raising actually. This is more. No, yeah, we raise the 725. We need to add here plus 7725282. What happened? The difference is 7946. we need to add this 7946, we need to add. So non-current liabilities we need to add plus 7946. We didn't add properly. Okay, we missed 10, we missed 79946. 79946. 79946. Yes. Okay, so that's it. Your balance sheet gets tallied, you can remove. So we didn't do the cash flow statement, we didn't do the supporting statements, we were able to directly do the income statement and balance sheet, and that's what we require importantly. Okay, so now we can directly go to the debt schedule. Also we don't require, we go to the DCF valuation. So how to do the DCF valuation? You take the free cash flow to the firm.